Welcome into 11 Personnel, presented by our good friends at Monticello Bank. I'm Nick Roush. He's Adam Luckett. We're preparing to embark on a journey to Austin, the Lone Star State, to watch the Wildcats take on third-ranked Texas, the highest-ranked team in the Southeastern Conference. The first game in Austin in the new SEC. First time they've been there since 1951. It's a long time coming, Luckett. It's not what we hoped this matchup would be at the beginning of the season, but nevertheless, it's a big one, and it's a chance for Kentucky to, they seem to play well in these games. So maybe they'll go out there and give it a good old college trial once again.
Nick, I sat down on Sunday and I was like, Adam, you've talked enough about what's going to happen in December. Let's talk about the team. Let's talk about these games.
Yeah.
They're playing two big games, and Texas is the new kid on the block, and you get a chance to go play them. You haven't played. A lot of people are going. Friends of the program that we know are going. It's like a big deal. We're going to go Austin. So let's give this game the full attention, and let's just cover this because that's all we're going to talk about here in a couple of weeks is what's going on for the future. So let's avoid the future talk. But I'll be damned if this whole week wasn't about the future. Every time Mark Stoops talked, so it's unavoidable at this point. So they're telling me, he gets on the teleconference, he gets asked by
our best friend,
Hot Take Mike Griffith,
Dog Nation,
Johnny Ballpark Franks. Our guy WZZM Radio. All of them ask him about his roster building, and he goes on questions. And this is all it's been centered around. So this is what we got to talk about. It just is. And so here we are for, I think, what seems like the 78th episode in a row. We're going to talk about the transfer portal. We're going to talk about Mark Stoops' future. We're going to talk about the coaching carousel. We're going to talk about all of these things that are coming in December because that is what's driving the conversation around this program right now, even though there are 2 games left to play.
Yeah, it's also been one of those days too, where you just you get ready to catch up on whatever you wanted to get to before, and then just something happens, and you're just like, well, I guess Vince Marrow Southern Miss. We're gonna rock about that. We're gonna, just stuff kept firing. So we're just gonna roll with the punches. We're gonna talk about what you want to talk about, and obviously talk about Kentucky versus Texas. That's going down Saturday. Whew, man. I'm just glad that we wrapped the football podcast talking about the food in Austin and the beers. That got me fired up. You ever had a Lone Star? Are you Lone, or are you just gonna go Bud Lights wherever?
I'll drink a Lone Star this weekend. Me and you can toast to a Lone Star and say, here's to a lot of long nights watching Twitter for the portal.
Oh man. Which, by the way, I've got something special cooked up for the portal too, because today is 2 weeks from the start of the early signing period. That's inevitable. That's coming. One thing that is, we don't have as much fanfare leading into it because Kentucky is going to be so portal focused moving forward. That much is clear. So since we can't really, we'll tell you who the guys are, and we'll give it those high school kids their due diligence in the days leading up to signing day. But let's be frank, a lot of this is just we're looking at the portal and what's going to happen, and we're going to be very reactionary. But I do have a little bit of insight as to how the process sort of works over there, how they prioritize, and just, it's a very, I don't want to say cloak and dagger operation, but everything's behind the scenes. So we're at least going to get, I think I have enough insight to be able to share how they go about it, how they kind of go through their roster building process. And that's essentially what got us to today's quote from Mark Stoops. What goes to the other quotes is people are genuinely curious, just like, hey, Mark, you have to coach against the number 3 ranked team in the country, but you've also got this roster. So what exactly are you doing? And the funny thing about today, Luckett, is he was like, yeah, well, Eddie Grand, my general manager, is with me right now. We're going to go meet with Mitch Barnhart and Mark Hill, and we're going to talk about it. So it was timely, and a lot of what he shared was similar to what we've heard in the past. But he did polish it up a little with a you know what? But I'm excited about the future and what we've got in store to fix these issues. So at least he added that to the equation, but it is unavoidable at this point. Just like our boss, hearing him is unavoidable at trivia night.
Listen, I'm going to try. It's my best to use you button tonight, Nick, but you're just going to get Adam, Nick, and Matt Jones. And this is what it's going to be tonight on the show. And so my question to you, as Matt asked, what are the 12 most popular soda products in Bismarck, North Dakota, is what happened at that meeting? Like today, Nick, was very much we don't know what's going on, but we have an idea what's going on with some of the stuff we had at KS Board.
Yeah.
In regards to the Vince Marrow Southern Miss, some of the Brad White stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So I get a feeling that Mitch and Mark Stoops typically aren't having meetings in the middle of November.
No.
So why were they having a meeting today? Is, to me on the board, you're going to see the Brian Windhorse picture a ton.
No.
So why would he do that? What is the method to the madness? And so why? That's the big question I leave myself from today is why what was that meeting taking place today? And why did Brad White, of all days, miss his media availability? He never misses it. He's never missed it since I've been on the beat.
Well, I was told that Brad's been looking to give Chris Collins more opportunities at the podium, and this just happened to be the time to do it. Chris Collins is the co-DC. It's fair enough. I feel like we could have done this, many other times previously. If you wanted to get him some reps with the media, you can also just bring him up as well. There's that too. You can have Brad talk and you have Chris Collins talk.
How about Murray State Week?
Yeah, it's been perfect time.
I just found that I was like, oh, that's a little weird.
I do wonder. I mean, how much does Mitch and Mark Hill? I mean, if it's about stuff that's not related to what's happening on his coaching staff, if it's about nil and fundraising and all of his big complaints, is he essentially saying, hey, here's our plan. We have X, Y, and Z. We need B, D, and A to be functional. I'm wondering how much of it is Stoops calling the meeting and asking for stuff versus the other way around. Like that's what I'm curious. And I get the sense that some of it is Mitch getting requests from his head football coach that, I need help with my fundraising here. I need a little help. And it wouldn't be, I mean, he's been asking it publicly for months. So I that's why I think it might be something different. He thinks it might be something different, but maybe I'm just connecting too many dots here.
I wonder, Stoops saying I have to do stuff that not coaching or whatever. It's not involved with current roster. You have to wonder if it's something along those lines. But yeah, there's a lot going on. I think it's pretty.
It's a lot going on, and we get little kernels here and there, and we're just left Pepe Sylvia in it,
Yeah, there's just a lot kind of what some might call Jeff Ruby's conversations. There's a lot of some under the surface stuff that we're not going to really hear about. And so we're just kind of stuck reading the tea leaves here. So, yeah, I think the big thing is, to me, like the big takeaway from this, I guess it's been 2 weeks now, or a week and a half, or whatever, since the first Brad White, Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
The two most important assistants over there have been linked to jobs.
Yes.
Publicly.
And here's the part for me, Luckett, that's even weirder on all of this. Just even weirder. Why? I mean, Roland put it out at what? 10 a.m. Eastern time, and 10:30 Eastern time, Matt saying that, yeah, I can confirm it, but Vince has already turned it down. Why? Why have it out there if you're gonna?
Why would they do that?
Yeah. But
Why
seriously,
would
like,
they do that?
why do you let it get out if you're going to immediately refute it? You just want people to know that you're looking at stuff, right? Like you're available. That part, yeah. So in to your point, Luckett, it is noteworthy. Like, this isn't, no offense to Chris Collins or no offense to Eric Wolford. These are your longest tenured, most frontward facing assistant coaches. Vince has been here the whole time. Brad's been here 7 years. He's turned down LSU. He's pretty good at his job. He's probably going to take I mean, both these guys, I think any of these guys, if they leave, they're taking pay cuts. So the fact that they would be shopping, methinks, I don't know.
Well, here's the let's cut through it. Let's just okay, why would you leave a job like that? I think the head coach might leave. He might have left or tried to leave. Maybe you think it's going to happen again soon. Maybe not this offseason, but next offseason.
Yep.
2, you see an org that's maybe going in the wrong direction, and you don't want to be a part of it going more in the wrong direction. So maybe you want to get off and try something else because you want to keep your arrow pointing up as much as possible. Or you could just be ready for a new challenge or to go be a head coach.
Yes. Change the scenery.
Or it could be kind of a combination of the 3. Or a combination of 1 and 3, or a combination of 1 and 2, or a combination of 2 and 3. And so finding that out is kind of what we're trying to do right now. We don't know yet, but it seems like Brad White is pretty as close as he's ever been to leaving.
I would. You know what? It's right up there with the LSU thing. I think they're pretty even. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he was in Baton Rouge at one point, surveying the scene. So I would say that it feels pretty equal from everything I've heard.
Mm-hmm. And then
that's the only other one we really heard about.
Just point blank, if he was gonna leave for a head coaching job, we would find out Thanksgiving weekend. We find out next weekend.
I don't think so.
Why not?
Let
me finish.
Okay.
But if he was leaving for a coordinator position, teams typically don't turn over coordinator until after signing day. It's kind of how it's worked.
Yeah. Although we are operating under a different signing day. So, yeah. But okay. Yeah, I'm with you there.
So that's kind of, we're very much playing the waiting game all hell has a chance to break loose here in December.
It really truly does. And if you were under a rock today, there was a report tying Vince Marrow to that Southern Miss vacancy where their coach was making $500,000 less than Vince this year. So to your point, if one of these is going to come open, Ball State came open. We haven't heard Vince. Tied with the Mac School in Muncie.
Central Michigan is one to watch.
That's another one. They want to go that route. It would not be the same financial compensation, but like you said, it could be a combination of other factors.
Yeah, Nick, availability report time here.
Oh, okay.
No Deion Walker, so that's a good thing. No Barry Brown
back.
That's a good thing.
I expected that.
But Teron Nichols is out.
Well, that's unfortunate.
DJ Waller is still out. Tavian Gadsden is out. It looked like he maybe had another serious knee injury or a serious injury. It looked like maybe a knee. But J.J. Weaver probable. Khalil Sanders questionable. So Kentucky's healthier than they've been, but still dealing with some injuries.
And that would suck personally for Gadsden. You work to get back, and then as soon as you get back, you're back out. That would be terrible.
Yeah, and for him, back to his recruitment injury, he had like a shoulder or something his senior year. I think he missed some time. So this has been 3 injuries in 2-3 years for him. That's not necessarily great. He just can't get on the field or stay on the field. That's been concerning because I think he has the size and body type that could be a really good or a really rotational type good player for them, but just can't get on the field.
No, it's unfortunate. I'm only seeing a couple questionables on the Texas side of things too. Nothing too crazy. Just going back to the preseason where they had all of their running backs seemingly get injured out for the year. Man, Matt really is letting us hear it tonight. But you know who will let you hear it in all the right ways? Monticello Bank. They're going to take good care of you there. They'll let you hear what great opportunities they have, what great offers they have, what great rates they have. Whether you're maybe looking to start up a small business, you need to get a car loan, home loan, you're going to get the best rates from a local bank. And Monticello Bank, they've been helping locals across the Commonwealth of Kentucky for more than 120 years. They've got branches all over the Commonwealth. Visit them online at nbcbank.com and experience some of that great customer service in person by visiting one of their branches. Monticello Bank, it's where people matter. That's right. It's where people matter. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Monticello Bank, proud presenting sponsors of 11 Personnel. Mr. Luckett, there's one other coaching point I wanted to make before we move on. I don't want to be that guy that is the I don't want to be the guy who's KSR is putting heat on Stoops. But there's one angle of the John Summerall thing that we hadn't really talked about. When Paul Feinbaum did his ditty a couple of weeks ago mentioning that, Summerall would be a ideal SEC coaching candidate, if a Stoops steps aside, if Auburn got impatient and they wanted to fire somebody. But, there wasn't firing Hugh Freeze after 2 seasons feels preemptive even for Auburn. And even though they have been bad, he's been recruiting like gangbusters there. And it's just, you could see them giving him some time because he's got a bad quarterback. And you think he's a good play caller and will be able to turn things around. My point is normally in those sort of you're floating things out there, you're wanting to gain some form of leverage. And in reality, there's probably not going to be an SEC coaching vacancy now that you have Billy Napier announce his retirement. They're not. They announced he's back. Sorry, other way around. You had Sam Pittman. He's kind of won his way off the hot seat. I know there's still some fans putting up signs down in Hog Heaven over there in Razorback country, but he's probably won himself back for another year. There's not an obvious seat, an obvious job, but the thing I didn't really realize is there might be next year. They'll pull the trigger after 3 years with Hugh Freeze if he keeps sucking next year. Oklahoma, that's a job that you can't afford to have another. It's got to skyrocket right back up, or they might just be buying out that big contract extension they gave him. I think a lot of schools were initially being apprehensive to jump into the carousel right now and get tagged with a big bill before revenue sharing comes up. But they might only be hesitant for this cycle. My point being, there might be some big openings next go around. Florida, Auburn, Oklahoma, big name brands. And you know who's going to be one of the first guys that gets a call from those big name brands? The former Kentucky Wildcat. And so, in reality, this might be the only opportunity you get at him. I'm not saying that, maybe his heartstrings might be tugged, but look, that is a very real thing, especially that Auburn job for the Huntsville Natives.
Yeah, Nick, I would say, have you ever seen Jurassic Park?
Yeah, a great movie. I love when they show up and they see the brontosaurs. It's a great reaction.
Dr. Ian Malcolm says, he says nature finds a way.
Mm-hmm.
The SEC finds a way to be in the coaching carousel. Don't tell me who, but there will be an opening. There will be. They will find a way. They're not sitting this carousel out, especially with 2 additional teams. Something will happen. We will find a way. But to your point, yes, I agree. Kentucky, if they got in the market, they have honestly a chance to be the most tracked job. Not that would matter because of what the circumstance, but yeah, I think competition could be steeper, especially if Summerall goes Sun Belt title, AAC title.
Yeah,
so that's a couple playoff. He enters then where Tom Herman, where Scott Frost, where I'm trying to think of some other ones, where Billy Napier, some of these Sun Belt coaches who had real leverage at the negotiation table because they had value because multiple schools would want them. And that creates a more difficult, I think, situation for Kentucky if they were going to try to hire him in that scenario. But if Mark Stoops is coming back for year 13, you would hope this can't just be like, all in one more time. This needs to, if he's back, he needs to be back for like the next 4 years. He needs to be committed to seeing this out, seeing this next signing class out. He needs to be committed to that. Because of how much this stuff is changing, Kentucky really can't afford some instability. And so that's the tricky part. Is he just like kicking the can down the road? What's going on? Because I know it's out there. That is out there that maybe that this year was seen as potentially a last ride. Now it's like, well, this year sucks. Maybe next year will be the last ride.
But next year ain't going to get any better.
That's what I'm saying. That's another reason. If he's coming back next year, I can't, it's probably going to be somewhat ugly. So if he's back next year, I don't see why he wouldn't be back at 26. Like, what if he's coming back next year? Why would he want to? I mean, unless he just really needs this $9 million.
Don't we all need $9 million?
Yeah. Well, Taxman takes a lot of that, but yeah.
I do love Ron Day to Kentucky. that amuses me. Oh
yeah,
man.
Yeah. Again, you're right. If Kentucky, let's say Kentucky enters the coaching market next year, there's a chance they could be the 5th or 6th best job in their conference.
Yeah.
Open.
Mm-hmm.
That's dangerous.
Yeah.
If you think about it. And so, like with the Stoops thing, you really want, are you in or you out? Like conversation we had last week. I feel like I'm having the same conversation over and over and over, but I think they're needed. That's what we need to talk about right now. You're in and you're out. If you're in, we need to see you committed pulling this program out. If you're out, you need to, cut your losses now. Don't keep playing, the hands at the table when you're not, it's just not your night. You're in or you're out. And man, it's got to stop with this. I'm not whining stuff. That has to stop at some point. I do get what he's trying to say, and I don't think he's wrong in a lot of instances, but it's becoming repetitive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the response to it is, it's a cycle. And we've done this 3-4 weeks in a row, but it also started months ago. And I know, here's the other part too, I know he's being asked this. This isn't just like he wants to come around and just talk about it. He has to answer the question. But here's the thing. When you say, when you preface it by saying, I'm not whining about it, it sounds like you're whining about it. It's adults protest too much. Like, just don't. Even if he just didn't say that, it would sound better. Like,
It's
he
what
needs
you.
to stop.
It's like when you want to insult someone, you say no offense. And
Yeah,
you can say whatever you want. Was that Michael Scott who said that?
yeah. But I said no offense.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It's just like, what are
Yeah,
And you don't have to. You can work your way around these questions. Like he's done it with
no,
other topics.
definitely. It's like whenever I ask him about like how the linebackers played, and he's just like, good, fine. I'm like, oh, so not good, not fine. Whew, yeah. Wait, Jamon Dumas Johnson, was he on? He wasn't on that injury report.
No, he was
Okay.
not.
All right, good. All right, just wanted to make sure there because I was thinking, oh, that would not be ideal if they were playing without him at Texas. I'm trying to think. Like,
Someone in the chat asked if this is a bingo hall, and that very much feels like.
yeah. Just trivia night at KS Bar, Dollar Wings, Wings Day. Come by, check us out. Are there any other big picture topics that we need to address right now? Because I'm trying to. I feel like some of this we have talked about ad nauseum, so I don't want to just exhaust it over and over again. Other than I will, as much as they'll beat a dead horse into you over what's selling and fundraising, folks. Seriously, if you're watching us right now, you need to be on KSR Plus, on KS Board. Like, it's a goal of mine right now. It's constant. There's a lot. So join it. And here's the other part too. If you've never been a message boarder, it's kind of fun getting to know your people on the message board. I feel like I have pretty good relationships with some of these people. In fact, I kind of want to reach out to old D Cornette and see if he's all right, because I think he had to take a break. He was just too fired up. So I hope we might need a wellness check on him. I love the community we got over there. UK1 gets you 2 months. You'll be locked in through all of the signing day, all of the transfer portal. They're going to be hitting it hard. Things are going to happen fast, and that's where you're going to know things first. So go ahead, sign up now. Luckett. Any missing details? Any big picture stuff that's fallen through the cracks before we just get to Texas and maybe talk about football for a minute?
I mean, where are you at with QB? Both this year and what they're going to do after the season.
I was a little I was asked the other day to rank most likely, and I think with the uncertainty with Stoops and all that, that's a different wrinkle. But say Mark Stoops is back, he's keeping Bush Hamden. We're operating under that assumption. Brock's going to be the guy. I think just from a dollars and cents standpoint, they're invested for 2 years. 2 years with the coordinator, 2 years with the quarterback. It hasn't been great on the field, but I think they've probably seen enough flashes. They like the mentality. They probably think they've got enough to work with where he can take a big enough jump from year 1 to year 2. And the other part is definitely they're already pot committed. And what would it say if they went out and got another portal guy, had to spend money there when they need to spend money on a lot of other stuff? And then you still got Cutter Boley hanging back. Like, are you going to do a 1-year rental? So I think in short, the equation is too complicated to move on from Brock. However, I wish the messaging was a little bit more clear on where they are with Brock Vandagriff. It took like 3 questions for Stoops to say Brock is our starter. That's the part where you need to be more forward facing. And I know they just talk about how tough he is, but like, he's our quarterback. Like, just say that. Like that's the I think my bigger issue with this whole entire season and how they've treated it is like, if you were going to be pot committed, like, just be pot committed. And I don't think they've done a good job of that. But I think they have to be moving forward because they're going to want to get a lot of portal players, and you can't have another quarterback eating into that budget.
Yeah, I think I need to see how the last 2 games play out.
Yeah.
If it's not good, I think the answer could be different. I just need to see how these last 2 games play out. I think it's been pretty obvious, Nick, that they haven't wanted to fully commit to him for whatever reason, and now they're deciding. So, Windhorse, why would they do that? Why now of all time are they like, all right, now we're all in on Brock Vandegrift? Might be a thing where they're like, we only have this much money. That, to me, like, why Stoops keep bringing up money? Maybe it's because he feels like he needs a lot more to get what they need to get in the portal than what they have currently in the coffers. And so maybe that's something where, we don't have the money to do it. But maybe maybe in 2 games they feel different, like we have to make a change. We got to do something else. So that's where kind of I think it's a fluid situation with all of this. And I think these 2 games are really important. Like how these 2 games end, I think could set the tone for the offseason in a lot of ways. Not that much different from last year, how beating Louisville kind of totally changed. We would be having some of these conversations now we had last year. It's just they beat Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think these last 2 games are important. Like Nick, a lot of Kentucky fans are going to this game Saturday. A lot of important people are probably flying down to go to this game.
I can confirm they are.
If they go down there and get embarrassed, that's not a good sign. Like, there's probably going to be some questions being asked. You lose at home, if you lose at home to Louisville, not only do you lose the bowl streak, you lose that streak. You see Jeff Brom carry the Governor's Cup out of your stadium. Like, it's just these last 2 games I think are very important for Stoops regardless, but like for the program from a, PR is not going to be great for them all offseason, but you don't want it to get much worse than it could, and it could get pretty bad, I think, if they don't play well. Specifically if they get blown out this weekend and then they lose to Louisville in any form or fashion. So that could change some decision making, I think, potentially for some people in the org. Just my opinion.
I will say too, there is all of this is like here. You can have the right plan and still just not execute it. I mean, it's kind of what it feels like in the portal this year. You had the right plan and you filled holes, and then you missed.
I'm going to write about this when the time comes, but if your hit rate is just starter from the portal, just starter, it's not great if you play it out. Now they've had some big hits, right?
Huge
big hit. Wandale Robinson, huge hit. Like Zion Childress was a multi-year starter. That's he might not get drafted, but that was a big hit. The guy you took from Texas State. But they've also had some misses.
Yeah.
A lot. And so if you're kind of playing with that same success rate and you bring a big class, you might get 1 or 2 more good players, but it's still going to be some of your same misses, and your team's going to come down to the young players in your program. Are they ready to contribute? And so against a tough schedule and all that, we all know what's coming next year. So it's like to your point, like, what does more volume in the portal give them?
Right. More chances to
throw
darts at a board.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So that's kind of where we are. And here's the other part that's wild too. Like, what I can't. So we got on this by talking about the quarterback. Honestly, you're probably right, because it's very hard to get a feel for where things at and what exactly they're going to go for in the portal, because things happen so quickly. And I was having a conversation with somebody, not in the program, but just talking about what's coming up. And I'm like, the most challenging part of all of this is it's not even the speed at which things happen. It's just that you can't even get a head start on it. We know who the high school kids are. We know who the good players are. You got no clue who's going to even be, who's in the pool that you're swimming in right now. So hold on to your butts, which By the way, do we even know when does the portal exactly open now? Do we have a date for that? Because I know they wanted to make it later, but I would assume players are going to announce that they're portal bound prior to that date.
Yeah, it's December 9th, but like with any year, these guys are going to start announcing their intentions as soon as their season is over next weekend.
Yeah.
So some teams playing on Thursday, Friday morning, you're going to get those guys. Some teams playing on Friday, Saturday morning, you're going to see those. Then Sunday, you're going to see all the rest of the team. You know, and Sunday, so we're going to have a week plus pretty much of announcements. So we're going to have a good idea about who is a free agent that's not officially in the free agent pool yet. But that was the point we talked about last week, Nick, how it's hard because you just don't know who's going to be available. Like I compared it to the NFL, they kind of know, all right, tackle market is not good this year, free agency wise.
Yeah.
We don't want to pay $1.25 for a player we think is a 60-cent player.
Correct.
We'll maybe do the draft this year, or but you can plan ahead for all that kind of stuff, or you can weigh the value of draft and this. College is a lot different. Players, maybe freshmen aren't ready to play, and then you got to kind of judge what you have there, and then if injuries happen, you got to try to come back in the spring or unexpected departures, so you kind of have to weigh all that. But again, we're all going to offensive line is going to be a big focus here,
and you just get what you kind of have. You know, there's
just whatever. You're kind of a prisoner of the market, unless you tamper. You know, tampering's a way to go about that too.
That's why you brought Eric Wolford back, right? This is your time to shine, Wolf. Time to shine.
I'm not saying Eric Wolford's out there tampering, but I do think this is a big stretch for him. This is why Mark Stoops brought him here for this.
Yeah.
Right now, this first recruiting class, he's done better than what we saw the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's not great. It's just fine.
It's fine. It's solid. It's fine. Yeah. It's nothing special, but Darren Stray was a good recruiting win at a tackle. He's the best probably high school tackle prospect they've for sure landed since Keontae. If you take them out, it's been a while since they landed a tackle prospect like him. And so, but now you need to go out and find, because this is going to be really his first opportunity to go out and because I can't remember how it lined with Mincy and Farmer when they added them. I don't think he was on staff yet.
No, he was not.
And so for this is his chance to go out and really get guys that are going to play for him. And so how they go about that is going to be, we'll see. Because to be quite honest, Nick, they need the best portal offensive line class in college football to give themselves a chance. If they don't have that, even if they do, it might not,
It's the best in college football. No small task. No small ask.
Yeah, it's tough sledding. And they're committed to playing a style of ball on offense that you have to be good on the offensive line. If you're not, you're going to get exposed. And we'll see what they can do.
Speaking of the best in college football, I hear DKR Texas Memorial Stadium is one of the best venues in college football. I'm fired up to go down there and watch the Wildcats play. And if you want to go watch the Wildcats play, you get that last minute itch, go on and visit gametime.co. Download the Game Time app because it is your best place to get last minute tickets delivered promptly to your phone. See the seats before you buy with Game Time. $100 get you in the door right now. I do really I love you get to scan around your vision in the field. And Luckett, I got to admit, we walked out on the lower bowl I hadn't walked out in the middle of a game in a very long time. I've been in the press box for so long. It was very cool sitting in that lower bowl. And with the GT Picks feature, you're going to get the best price and the best seats every time with Game Time, proud sponsors of 11 Personnel. Just before you buy, do yourself a favor and save some money But putting in promo code KSR, you're going to get $20 off your first purchase with Game Time. That's promo code KSR, $20 off your first purchase with the Game Time app. Game Time, the best ticket broker on the market, fastest, easiest way to get tickets to all your favorite college football games, your favorite comedy shows, your favorite sporting events with Game Time. Telling you, that's Game Time. It's a good Christmas gift too. I know. Got Tyler Childers coming to Kroger Field. You a Tyler Childers fan, like it? Think you'll make it out to the Krog to hear old Tyler sing next spring?
I will not, but I like Tyler. I like it. I like him, but I will not be there.
See, I like him too. It's just like, stadium doesn't feel like the right setting to hear Tyler Childers for the first time. But there's also a part of me that just really wants to go to a concert at Kroger Field, and I like Tyler Childers, so I might just do it. I think it's Thunder weekend, so we might be sacrificing one party for the next, but it's a price we might have to pay. But you're going to play us with our friends at Game Time. Luckett, the fascinating part about the Texas Longhorns football team is where they sit in the college football playoff conversation. Going into the season, nobody said that they have an easy schedule, but now people are saying, well, Texas ain't beat nobody because they housed a bad Oklahoma team. They went in on the road and beat the defending national champs, but they're about a 500 team. And when the SEC came to Austin, Georgia played its best game of the year. I think it's silly the way that people are treating this team for knocking them by getting their teeth kicked in by a team who kicks everybody's teeth in, pretty much. I think that's silly, but I do understand why they aren't praised as much, just because like their quote unquote impressive wins, they aren't just steamrolling teams. And based on some of the conversations I had folks with on the Inside Texas message board today, the members only club, a lot of frustrations with Quinn Ewers and his turnovers. And so I think if you're looking for an opportunity for Kentucky to hang in the game, it's because of those Quinn Ewers turnovers where, in my humble opinion, he just got hurt at the wrong time. And it really stunted his ability to take that next step. And that turnover bug just keeps on popping up at inopportune moments.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that turnover thing up because Texas's offense, I wouldn't say is super great at any one thing, but they're pretty well rounded. Like they don't have really any weaknesses outside of this, which is havoc rate. They're below Kentucky's offense in havoc rate. They're sub 100 in havoc rate. They're playing a Kentucky defense this week that's top 10 in havoc rate. And we talked about how Kentucky's producing a lot of negative plays, and just turnovers aren't arriving.
Right.
This would be a good spot for that first, 3 or 4 takeaway game to show up. It's something I've talked about. I thought it's coming at some point. It just never has. So they got 2 games left. Maybe it'll come in one of these last games. Knowing them, they'll just force 18 turnovers against Louisville, and it'll just be like, oh, they're just saving it here for the end. But I think that is the path for Kentucky. Have a +2 or more in the turnover column. If they're that, they're going to have a chance, because if they're doing that, then Texas probably isn't scoring too many points, and then that's a situation where maybe 21 points will win the game. But if it gets to more than where Kentucky has to score more than 20 offensive points, 21 offensive points in this game, it's going to be very, very difficult.
Scoring 21 offensive points, that's not a lot of points, Luckett. It is for this team. They have yet to do that against SEC competition. But hey, let's look on the bright side, Luckett. At least the plane ride won't take 8 hours for them to get there, like it did the last time they went to Austin. Sounds like it was going to Texas was a real challenge 70 years ago. Whom's to thunk it? Whom's to thunk it?
That's about half of our journey.
We will be making
hours.
Yeah, give or
What
take.
Did we rent a Hummer?
No, we're not getting a
Camaro.
Hummer. It would be fun. I mean,
An Elon car.
I got my license back up. I'm ready to go to ticket and go back to driver's school. All right, like I'm totally fine with it. If we get, man, how do you? I guess you just don't go on road trips with the Elon cars. You can't stop and fuel up. So I don't find a place to park for a while and hook your car up to a battery. That's gotta suck. That's gotta really suck. I digress. Back to the actual football game. Mark Stoops basically said that this is the best defense that they are going to face. Similar to what you said about the offense, is they don't have a lot of weaknesses. Kentucky's played top 10 defenses before. I don't think their front is maybe as crazy as some of the other fronts they've seen. But nevertheless, like this is going to be a very hard team to move the ball against, Mr. Luckett. Very hard team to move the ball against.
I think from a star power standpoint, they've got probably the best balance from defensive line, pass rushers to linebackers to defensive backs. Like Ja'Day Barron's one of the better cornerbacks in the country. Anthony Hill Jr. is an absolute playmaker at linebacker. Then they got all kinds of pass rushers. True freshman Colin Simmons looks like a future top 10 pick.
Badass.
Yeah, I just think they've got it strung together well. And they don't have to bring a lot to get pressure on the quarterback. They can play a lot of too high coverage. And that's been hard for the team to score on that. Again, they haven't, as Matt's streaming, they haven't played, some better offenses, but Georgia only had 280 yards of offense. They only scored 30 points because they got the ball multiple times inside the Texas 30.
Yeah,
That's
right.
where they were starting drives. Other than that, Vandy got to 24, but they needed like Diego Pavia magic twice. And they also had an interception that gave them the ball, like an instant red zone possession to start the game. So that teams just aren't scoring on them. So that's what makes this matchup so tough. It's just like, how's Kentucky just going to get points to win, even if the defense pitches a gym?
I do like that we have a Texas Longhorns fan that says that Kentucky's definitely better than their record shows. Been impressed with how hard they've played this year. Should be a good game this weekend. And that, to your point, Texas Longhorns fan, appreciate you joining us in the YouTube chat and appreciate y'all doing this every single week with us here on 11 Personnel. They played well against all of the college football playoff teams. So, I got a reason to believe that they'll go out and put out a good effort, especially for some of these guys. You've had 2 weeks to heal up. I would think that Deion Walker specifically is poised for a big game. I wish you could do like a prop good game for Deion. You can't do that like you can with some offensive players because
what is his PFF rating prop?
Yeah, because like he has been a little underwhelming at times this year. There's no doubt about that. But he's had to play a ton of snaps, and he finally is well rested. And most importantly, there's a lot of self-serving motivation in this game. This is an NFL tape kind of game. Texas offensive line got some future pros on it. How did you perform against them? They're going to look at this Texas tape when you're 4-6 and see how hard you're playing. See how well you're playing when your team is in a bad spot on the road against really good players. So I think, especially Deion, I'm looking for him to have a big game on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't think it's just him. I think it's the other guys who are in that draft range, like Max Hairston, Jamon Dumas-Johnson, J.J. Weaver, all those guys. Like, it's very important game from that aspect. These are two different teams in a different spot, though. Like, Texas is college football playoff. It's kind of similar to the Alabama game last year. They need some style. They're probably going to want style points if they can get them.
Yeah, that's and it's not just the style points. It is we have no more time to get right. We have to do this now. There's a sense of urgency when you have rivalry game, potential conference championship game, then playoff coming up down the pike. You can't just fiddle with your food anymore because Arkansas is coming to town next week. You got to be ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. Again, senior day,
Won't be a dry in the house.
Yeah. So, I just think the challenge is tough. To me, Nick, Kentucky has done the opposite of the consensus really all year long, outside of the 3 bad
Scrub
games.
Yeah.
They played all these top 10 teams close when everyone thought Georgia was going to beat them 50-0. Tennessee was going to run it up against them, and then Ole Miss was probably going to score 50 points against them. But they've also the teams you thought they would win, which I think a lot of people went into Auburn, maybe not so much the Auburn game, but definitely Florida, definitely South Carolina, definitely Vanderbilt, thinking they would win, and they did not play well in any of those games. So I think like people are starting to come around. Oh, they're going to go out there and play well. They've done this all year. They're going to play this top 10 team well and have a chance in the fourth quarter.
Not so fast.
I got a feeling to me, if this season sticks to the trends, it's not that they play well against Texas. The trend would be that they just get
wrecked.
They finally get blown out when everyone is expecting them to keep it close with the top 10 team. Because that's what this team has been all year.
Expect the unexpected with the Kentucky Wildcats. 2 games left. It's the third-ranked team in the country and a rivalry game against Louisville. We'll find out what's going to happen Saturday, ABC 3:30. Luckett and I got to get out of here because we got to pack for our road trip. We are hitting the road very soon. Here's my biggest road trip dilemma. It's not necessarily for the drive. When are we going to eat our big meal? Because I'm worried. I'm worried about having big eyes and then being too uncomfortable to enjoy my night out on the town. And so I'm tough spot.
I'm kind of thinking Saturday.
Saturday is like a hangover meal?
Yes.
That's not the worst idea. We'll probably have, I would imagine, most of our pregame writing completed. So that's probably a good move. Either because that
here's the thing. If we go there, eat brunch, essentially, we're going to have an hour or so to walk around in the parking lot.
Yeah, that's huge too. Because I was also thinking, well, what if we went there as soon as we got into Austin on Friday? But then we have to write, and then we'll just sit around and feel miserable for a while.
I think that's a great idea, but we are going to want to go hang out with some people.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
Maybe while we're watching the Kentucky game, maybe snack on some nachos or something.
Yeah, I can't be filled with jalapeno sausage and brisket while because this is a 3-meat kind of meal. So
I'm thinking Saturday before the game is probably our best bet.
Good call. All right. Well, we've checked off one box. We got a lot more to check off on our road trip to Austin. We hope we'll see you there. If you're coming, reach out on Twitter or wherever. I don't know. We're easy to access. You can find us. We'll be out and about on Friday night.
Is it Franklin Street?
I don't know.
I think it's Franklin Street. We'll see y'all on Franklin Street.
It's Drew Franklin. He's going to be there. I think that's what you're.
What'd you say? You broke up there.
Said it's Drew Franklin. He's the one who's going to be there. Now, I don't know if there's a Franklin Street or not, but it'll be a good time.
We've all got a crew going. Yeah, it's Franklin Street. I think it's their big hopping place. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good time.
Well, I'll see you here in a couple hours, Mr. Luckett. And see y'all next week on the KSR YouTube channel. Go Cats and go Kroger.